Hey everyone, so today we're going to be looking at a guide for Simulated World 4. So I am skipping Simulated World 3 because I basically did whatever I did in Simulated World 2. I deployed the exact same strategy, exact same team composition, and it worked out. So if you want to find out how to beat Simulated World 3, just look at the guide for Simulated World 2 and just do the exact same thing. But before looking at our team composition, let's look at what we are up against in Simulated World 4. So basically, it says that recommended team level is level 50. You are going to be fighting against Svarog, and there are some changes in the way that the opponents are set up. Basically, they have different elemental breakers. For example, Svarog and all of the different enemies actually, they are weak to fire. So that is the reason why I basically changed up the way that I have set up the team for this particular battle. I have gone with Bailu, Trailblazer, March, and Denham, so that I am able to apply fire and wind to Svarog, and I'm able to use the Fire Trailblazer MC to deal fire damage to the rest of all of these different opponents. So my strategy remains largely the same. I'm trying to get as tanky as possible and get a lot of counter attacks through the use of the Fire Trailblazer. And then chip down my opponents using basically counter attack break damage. So looking at the team, so this is the team that I went with: Bailu, March 7, Heng, and Trailblazer. But that said, I know that not everyone has Bailu because she is a 5-star character. I genuinely think that Natasha is a very good replacement for Bailu, a very good free-to-play option. And also, if without spoiling too many things, Natasha is actually very good for World 6, but we'll talk about that next time. Looking at the team build for my characters, for Bailu, I just kind of went with the Cornucopia. It is a free-to-play light cone, just 3 stars, but it's pretty good because it allows Bailu to heal with an increased 12% increase. For March, I went with day 1 of my new life. I think this is something that I got through the game if I recall correctly. So this is fairly free to play as well. And as for the relics, for Bailu, I went with Passerby of Wandering Cloud because it increases your outgoing healing. And for March, I went with Knight of Purity. So what you see here is that actually for Bailu, I increased the levels for my relics to levels 9 and 10 because I just wanted to complete the one of the tasks that you get from the game so that I can get more gems. But I genuinely think that you don't actually need to increase the levels of your relics at this point yet, even if you're trying to play against World 5, because by March 7, her relics are still at level 0, Denhang still at level 0, Trailblazer still at level 0, so I think you can get away without investing too much in your relics. In addition to that, I don't think you would want to invest too much in it right now, because you are not. I think you unlock the realms for 5-star relics in Ascension level 4, which is basically Troll level 40. So don't use all of your resources for relics yet. You can really get away with it if you're trying to clear Simulated World 5. So looking at Denhang, basically using River Flows in Spring. I think this is from the one of the warps, but yeah, it's a 4-star, it's fairly accessible. And for the relics, I went with Musketeer of Wild Wheat just to increase his attack and his break effect. And then for Fire MC, I went with We Are Wildfire. And then for the relics, I went with God of Watery Snow just to reduce the damage taken by the MC. So essentially, the strategy for this team is very similar to the previous one. It's basically using March 7 to apply shields to Fire MC, because once she applies the shield to Fire MC's taunt actually increases, increasing the chances of monsters attacking him, right? And after the monsters attack him, he would be able to increase his normal attack through the use of the different stacks that he has created, and therefore he is able to break the fire shields more easily. And then Heng is just, there for the final boss fights, just to break Svarog as quickly as possible and move him on from face to face as quickly as possible. And then for Bailu, just a solid healer. So that's basically the team composition. As for the Path Resonance, I went for the Path of the Hunt because a lot of the enemies were weak to wind and therefore it helps to clear out the mobs. And for the level 6 upgrade, I went for the one called Bow and Arrow because essentially what you can do is that you can defeat opponents that are at 50% health or less, and if you do that, the Path Resonance will refresh, allowing you to activate the Path Resonance again and again, basically trying to abuse the Path Resonance to deal big damage to your opponents. So today's video is going to be a little bit different because these runs, the full run can take a long time, to about 1 hour I think, so I'm just going to focus on the curios that I picked, the blessings that I picked, and how I build my team. To start us off, I like to start the game with blessing just to get a buff as quickly as possible. And out of these 3, I actually chose the first one because with this team I am trying to break my opponent's wind shields as much as possible, which will actually apply wind shear to them, so I would be able to deal damage over time against them quite consistently, and that is the reason why I went with that first one. Next, I went for the Remembrance Blessing that guarantees my enemies will be frozen at the start of the game. I think this is pretty important because it helps me to build up some of my energy and get some chip damage off before they are able to attack me in return, which is probably pretty useful when setting up for boss fights. After that, I decided to go for some Hunt Blessings because I need to be able to get at least 6 Blessing of the Hunt in order to activate my second Hunt ability. And this is actually pretty good anyway because it allows me to have 2 turns in a row for some of my characters every once in a while, so it's pretty powerful. And then after this, I went for some defensive destruction blessings. When my character's HP is below 50%, it generates a shield. So I am trying to be a bit cautious here. I'm trying to play a bit more defensively here because this is actually my 3rd attempt. I think I only beat the simulated world on my 3rd attempt, and the reason why I kind of wiped out in the first 2 attempts is because I didn't deal enough damage and I wasn't able to survive for long enough. So I just needed something to buff up my team's defenses before I go all in on the different damage dealing blessings. And then with the next occurrence, I decide to obtain 2 blessings rather than 200 fragments because I like getting as many hunts as possible, just so that I can guarantee that I have the level 6 path. I also took, but other than choosing the hunt blessings because they were convenient and allowed me to unlock my level 3 resonance, I actually quite like them because they allow me to snowball your attacks. And the thing about the simulated world is that you don't just need to survive, you need to deal enough damage to your enemies as well. So yeah. And then in the next occurrence, I was basically forced into blind choosing one of these curios. I have no idea what they were because I didn't look them up, and I got the Black Forest Cuckoo Clock, which is not that bad actually because it randomly increases the chance for one character to be attacked by enemies for 5 turns, right? So this actually falls in line pretty well and synergizes pretty well with March 7th shield ability, because if I notice that one of my characters is taking more damage than the others and is being targeted by an enemy more than the others, I can basically use March 7's skill to generate a shield while also applying counter damage on them. After defeating the first elite, I was given a choice to choose between one of 3 3-star blessings. I chose the preservation one just to get more shields up because, while dealing damage is great, you also want to be able to ensure that you can survive. Apart from that, I don't think I'll be able to benefit from the other 2 blessings as frequently as the first one, because for the other 2, they were basically blessings that really require a certain condition to fulfill, for example, fallouts and things like that, right? So I just went for the one that, definitely gives me a shield. At this point, I was given a choice to choose from one of 3 negative curios. I went for the Elegant Code because it means that my characters would be able to do double turns in the same turn at some point, maybe after 3 full cycles, right? So being able to attack more and more frequently is actually pretty good because it allows me to recover more frequently, allows me to attack more frequently, and allows me to fill my energy and my path resonance a lot more frequently. In the next set of blessings, I went for the first Nihility one because I think it was pretty good. It was too good to pass up. Basically, it means that, you know, while the opponent already has any sort of damage over time statuses, if I were to trigger damage over time, it will also deal additional damage to it. So that's pretty good because my aim for this particular team is to use Heng to break my opponent, or rather the enemy boss's shield, as much as possible. So if I can break the shield, it means that I will be able to trigger Wind Shear, and it means that I'll be able to deal damage over time, and that blessing basically compounds the amount of damage I'll be able to do. And next, I wasn't actually given a very good few choices. These are all pretty bad, but I just went for the middle one to increase the damage of my follow-up attacks by 26% because, you know, it's the most reliable, it's the one that can give me most value across the different things that I have. Again, I didn't choose any of them because they were great. I chose that one because it was the least bad, I guess, out of the 3. And then next, I chose the Hunt, not because I think it is exceptional, but I think I'm halfway through the dungeon by now, through the simulator world by now, and I needed more Hunt blessings so that I can activate my level 6 path resonance. So it's more of like a panic pick than a pick because it's good at all. So remember, when you go through your runs, remember to pick the blessings that can give you a level 6 ability, because it is very critical. Lucky for me, I am now able to choose another Hunt blessing again, and this time, although I have a 2-star blessing in the middle, I actually went for the first one because it allows me to increase the frequency of my attacks again, so it synergizes with the earlier blessing really well. And for this Elation one, I actually chose the reverse, or rather the opposite blessing that I just chose. I chose the one whereby it says if I hit something with a follow-up attack, I will be able to reduce or delay the action by 12%. So again, trying to keep to the same line, out of the same vein, I am just trying to increase the frequency of my attacks. And then, because I have chosen my 6 different path of Hunt blessings, I'm now able to choose level 6 resonance. So for the level 6 resonance, again, I went for the bow and arrow because it's actually really good. If you use it correctly, you will be able to fire off the bow and the path resonance 2 times in a row. After defeating the second elite, I was actually given a few pretty good choices. I went for the first one in the end, the Hunt one, that allows you stacks of critical boost, because I recall that if you enhance it, you will be able to get up to 12 stacks of critical boost, a maximum of 12 stacks, and that is really good because essentially each stack of critical boost gives you extra 6% critical rate, and extra critical damage, 12% critical damage. So if you enhance it, it will be super powerful because basically it increases your critical rate by what is it, 72% after 12 turns. And if you're fighting against a boss, you can probably expect yourself to get the max amount of critical stacks. In my final few enemy encounters, I ran into another situation whereby my blessings were not great, so I just went for the destruction one, so that I can increase the number of blessings that I've taken before. And as for this one, I just picked the other one that gave me more shields just to survive a little bit more, just to add a tankiness to my team. And I chose the Nihility one to increase the chances of breaking the boss's shield more frequently. And finally, for the last one, I chose the one to increase my crit rate. So I'm actually going to showcase the entire Svarog fight because I think it's probably worth knowing what you're getting into when you challenge the simulated world 4. So before going into the boss fight, remember to use all of the different techniques that you can use. I used the Bailu one to, gain heal damage over time. I used the Trailblazer one to summon a shield on them, and I also used the Heng one just to increase my attack at the start of the turn. So going into the first phase of Svarog, so there are 3 phases in total. You're looking at phase number 1. Looking at phase 1, what I am trying to do after playing against him a couple of times is that I need to get rid of his healing little guys there. So the one on the side. So I know that the the second from the left and the fourth from the left, these guys can be annoying because they deal a lot of damage and they set up barriers on themselves. But the true menace is actually these uh, quadrupedal ones because they actually heal Svarog, they actually heal the entire team. So what I like to do is to get rid of their healers as much as possible. And it's great that, I managed to use the Path Resonance to clear all of them. But my ideal scenario is that I want to kill off the healers, and if Silvaro intends to, summon more little guys, and if all of them are the barrier ones, I actually allow the barrier ones to stay there, because I don't want him to summon the healing guys back up, because those are really, really annoying. So yeah, what I like to do, yep, so basically what he just did there, he summoned a lot of these little barrier guys. I don't even aim for them anymore. I just focus on Svarog and Svarog only so that I can kill him off as soon as possible. Because the other neat thing for you to take note is that the moment you defeat him in this particular phase, all the mobs that he creates would automatically destruct. So since they will be killed off at the end of this phase anyway, I decided to, just focus fire on the big man himself. So yeah, again, I would highly recommend not wasting any attacks on these barrier guys. Only kill off the mobs that can heal the entire team, because that is just going to delay the duration of this, or rather prolong the duration of this battle, and increase the longevity of Sorrow as well, which is pretty annoying. So one other thing I like to do as well is to, break the boss's shield as quickly as possible, and then dealing a ton of damage to them, because you'll be able to start to deal damage over time. So with Heng, he is a pretty solid damage dealer, because as a wind character, the moment he breaks the shield, you'll be able to apply wind shear on the opponent's uh, status. So he will be taking a lot of damage over time, wind damage over time, and I think that is a pretty efficient way to get rid of bosses and get into the next phase. So as you can see, we're now in phase 2, and the moment phase 2 happened, Svarog's little guys just blew up, because he is going to summon these new guys instead. So the thing to note about phase 2 is that the moment you kill off these guys on the side, Svarog no longer summons them. He only summons them once, right? So in the first phase, I only took care of the healer, and I ignored the rest because Svarog was going to summon over and over again. But because for this particular state, Svarog doesn't really summon new ones, therefore I'm okay with spending some time and attention on these guys to get rid of them sometimes. But I am still using my Denhang to focus fire on Svarog himself. Yep, and because I don't mind getting rid of the guys on the side, that is actually why I use March and Trailblazer's ultimates a little bit more liberally, because I don't mind the AoE taking them out, because I know that once I get rid of them, I'll never see them again. So I'm just trying to break him as many times as possible, as frequently as possible, because as you can see earlier, right? Svarog is able to apply buffs on his little minions. So as long as they are dead, there is no one to apply buff to. So that is basically why I'm just trying to, break him as quickly as possible through the use of Heng and Trailblazer. Um, and yeah, hopefully do some collateral damage along the way just to kill off the guys on the side. So as a free-to-play player, I genuinely think that Fire Trailblazer is a very, very solid option. Even till now, I mean, as of time of recording, I clearly am trying to clear Wolf 4, but I've now cleared Wolf 5 in my actual progress, and while I didn't use Fire MC, I think it would have been quite a good pick, and I think he would be relevant in Wolf 6 as well, so yeah, I think Fire MC is really brilliantly designed free character for this particular game because with most gacha games, right, the moment you get a starter character, they tend to fall out of favor 10 minutes into the game. Like for example, Genshin, you get Lisa, the moment you get someone else, you swap Lisa out right away because Lisa is just a little bit clunky to use. But the starter characters here, you have Fire MC, you have March, you have Denhang, all of these are starter characters and I'm using them to clear World 4 and they are still very very good at World 4. So I am just very impressed with how they designed all of these different characters in general. So as you can see, I've defeated the 2 minutes on the side for a while now, and Svarog just hasn't, summoned anything new yet. So yeah, if you want to focus fire on the guys on the side first, just to reduce the amount of damage that you take from Svarog and his team, feel free to do so. So phase 3 is actually one of the more annoying ones, because Svarog is just going to summon these hands over and over again. And he's going to use these hands to control and steal your team members away. So the worst case scenario is that he steals your healer away. For example, in my case, Bailu, I'm quite lucky that he didn't steal Bailu right now, but imagine if my entire team was low, he steal off Bailu for 2 turns, and basically my team would just perish, right? So what I like to do in this scenario is that I like to slowly chip down the shield of these hands, right? Through the use of either Bailu's normal attack, which is electro normal attack, or through the use of Heng's attack as well. Because the moment the hand attempts to steal one of my characters, I can attack one more time through a normal attack, and then just, break the hand altogether. So I admit that, for World 4, I think in order to beat phase 3, it definitely requires a little bit of luck. You have to ensure that, Svarog doesn't try to steal your practice at the wrong time when you need to heal, when you need to break shields. But yeah, that is also why the simulated world game mode is so good, because there's so much variance, right? So every experience is going to be different. So as much as variance can be annoying, it can be really good as well. It makes for good games. So as you can see, my Bailu is now dying, and I need her to live because she is my condition to revive one of my characters the moment they die once we battle. So I cannot afford to allow her to die, which is why I went for the Heng and just tried to break the hand rather than trying to break Svarog's shield. I actually got lucky here because imagine if the second hand had taken Bailu instead, and Bailu is really close to death, right? The moment she comes back out of the hand, or rather, the moment she goes back into the hand, she is going to die. So I count myself very, very lucky that Svarog didn't choose to steal Bailu again. So now I'm just trying to get rid of the hand, break the hand, so that I can get back my Fire MC, so that Bailu can use her ultimate and heal my entire team in a more efficient manner. Because if I hadn't gotten a Fire MC back yet, and I used the ultimate actually I do not get to heal by MC and he would be close to dying. So didn't want that to happen. And unfortunately I mistimed that a little bit. If the hand was just a little bit lower at 50%, the path resonance will be able to kill it and also refresh its usage. So I just basically mistimed the resonance just by a little bit. If I had been able to recycle it, I'll be able to do a lot more damage to Svarog in that instance. So I decided to go for the ultimate. I know that I look like I'm fully healed up, but I didn't know which character he was going to steal, right? Imagine, he steals Bailu instead and it takes me a long time to get back Bailu. If Bailu's ultimate was up, it means that my characters can still heal a little bit once they get attacked. So it wouldn't have been the end of the world if Bailu was stolen. But as you can see here, 5Ms got stolen again for the second or third time, which I don't really mind because he's got a lot of HP, he's got a lot of defense, he will survive, being kidnapped. So at this juncture, I think I had to make a choice because my team is getting low. There is no way I can break Heng out because, Bailu's normal attack can only bring that shield down to half, right? So before I can break the hand, Heng would have died already. So this is why I kind of pivoted my strategy instead of trying to get Heng out. I just decided to let him die and spam all of the damage onto Svarog just to break him as much as possible. Try to make my team as tanky as possible with the use of Bailu and March, so that they can survive, deal damage to Svarog, try to refresh my resonance, and then deal a lot of damage to him. So this is basically me being desperate now because my main source of DPS, Heng, is now dead, my main breaker is now dead as well. But luckily, the path resonance refreshes in time and I was able to bring Svarog from 8% down to 0%. So that is basically it for this entire war run. Very happy with the different choices that I made here and with regards to the different blessings. I'm very happy with how I managed to get over that phase 3 because that was definitely the most annoying part of the boss fight. So yeah, if you have any questions, if you like this video, like and subscribe. If you have any questions or if you have another way of getting through this simulator world, let me know in the comment section below and I will see you in the next one. Bye!